local variables are set on the settings layout. They're not set on this layout. At the moment, we have visited the settings layout on the first window. OpenScript has done that, and that layout currently has local variables declared, and they're used in the button bar labels. We'll visit the settings layout and return via script, and we'll see that they're defined there. The same variables, the same local variables, are used in the navigation buttons at the top of this layout, but we can see that the labels are empty. So that means that the scope of the local variables is restricted to a single layout under certain conditions. I'm not completely sure what those conditions are, and they can be changed so that the scope of local variables on a layout extends to all layouts in a file. But in certain conditions, they don't extend to that layout, and we can see that in this experiment I'll show. We'll visit the settings layout and return. Here's the settings layout. We've returned, and the same buttons are empty. Now, we paused on the settings layout. If we stop on the settings layout instead, we can see that the buttons up here all contain values. Now, if we interact with this layout in any way, we'll cause those values to extend into other layouts, and we'll do that. We'll go to Clients. Now, you can see that the Clients, Invoices and Jobs labels are present in the button. And if we switch to those other layouts, you can see they're filled. The only way for us to clear those variables now from essentially the global scope is to close the file and reopen it. So I'll do that. Oops, had the wrong settings because we've told it to stop on the settings layout. Here we are again. Now, again, you can see these are empty, and I'll show you that they're also empty on the invoices and job settings. And I'll show you what is in the calculation here. The calculation is for a local variable. Also, the single script step in all of these is to use the local variable to go to layout by name. So our navigational activity depends on the local variable. So in this case, clicking on these buttons does nothing. We have to use the layout picker to get back to the client screen, and again it does nothing. However, when we repeat the experiment to visit the settings layout, we can see those local variables. And if we go back to the settings layout, we can see that the conditions are identical. This button is the same as all of the buttons on all of the other screens. And now that we've been to the settings layout and interacted, the variables have all come back. So I'll clear the file again. Whoops, made the same mistake. Oh, we were pausing, we didn't stop. And in that condition, so we paused on the settings layout for 2 seconds, and the variables haven't carried through. There's a couple of steps here we can do. When we're outside the scope of the settings layout, we can fly past the settings layout, which we've been doing. So we can say, are the buttons visible? Yes. Are the button bars visible now on the client's layout? Yes, they are. But interestingly, that is just scope bleeding, which is a really serious problem. So we click yes, they're very visible, but as soon as we initiate a re-evaluation of those variables by hovering over them, they disappear. They're not there. That seems bad to me. Another thing we can do is scripted interaction with a layout scope variable. The custom dialog is saying that we tried to access the clients variable. And it says the value of clients is clients, but local remains empty. In that case, what we tried to do was copy the value of the local variable clients into a variable called local within the script. The value of clients didn't carry into local, which is weird because clients itself is accessible here. So there's this odd bleeding of the interface layer with the script layer, which is inconsistent. So we'll say OK. Now we've returned, we've tried to access clients. In this case, suddenly everything is accessible. Clients is clients and local is clients. So, okay, that's really good. But again, are these values real? When I say real, are they persistent? No, they're not persistent. They disappear as soon as they're reevaluated. So the layout is behaving really oddly and really inconsistently. We can also modify the layout scope variables. So again, we run the test and we see that we get to local and clients, but here we've changed the value from inside the script and it's bleeding back out into the layout. So instead of saying client here, now it says customer. So no good, but again, totally transient, but the layout was affected. And here we are just trying to see if we can just grab it directly from the other layout. We haven't switched layouts at all, but no. Now, of course, that is all operating from the context of the client layout. All of these layouts have the same table, so it's not a table level issue. So I'll flick the switch to say stop on the settings layout. We'll visit the settings layout. We'll go back to clients by interacting manually. Now all of these values are here, and because all of the values are here, we can interact with we can navigate. Which shows that they are suddenly all accessible across all of those layouts, and they weren't previously. And if we go up to run with this script, can we interact with a local variable? Again, funnily, it says we tried to access clients, we could not do that. But other scripts show that there are plenty of ways in which you can interact with the client's variable within a script, utilize it within a script, and have the information bleed back out into the layouts. So I guess the conclusion that we should take from this is that it's a complete mess. The use of local variables within the layout level is really undefined, and anything we do there, we should be extremely careful to ensure that we have data security and application integrity. Anyway, just a big caution for everybody. Thanks for bringing this up, Menno. I'd seen it before and hadn't paid a lot of attention to it beyond seeing that it was a little bit dangerous and moving away from it. But here we are. It may be something that we need to ask Claris to address more thoroughly.